Break damage, powerful buffs, and strong AoE damage are only some of the things that Emma Laurent excels at, which is why today I'll be showing you all how you can best build Emma Laurent to make the most out of her kit. And without a doubt, the 8 set effect of Burning Greed is going to be your best choice of artifacts, because this will not only increase your break effectiveness by 30%, it will also allow you to activate the Burning Greed buff, which will increase your whole entire team's crit rate by 15%, and also their critical hit damage by 30%. But for those of you that want to use in with Emma Laurent, then the 4 set effect of Noble Sacrifice will probably be your next best thing, as this will allow you to increase your own HP by 8% as well as your whole entire team's attack stat by another 8% as well. But then also the solid analysis on the 4 set effect bonus is going to be great due to just all of the amount of break effects that you can get from it. And then finally, Angel in White can also be very good because it is very similar to Noble Sacrifice, as it will increase your HP, but instead of increasing your whole team's attack, it will only increase the damage of the team member with the highest total power by 8%. And then for all of Emma's accessories, basically the 2 best options are going to be Concentration of Firepower for all of the extra damage that you can get from it, or you could go for Sylph's Blessing if you want to make her more of a supportive character, as with this you can pretty much in total increase your whole entire team's elemental weakness damage by up to 15%. But then for all of the stats with all of these pieces, let's start off with all of your main stats for your main artifacts. And for Emma Laurent's helmet, you'll want to go for additional HP or HP percent. For the body armor and also the gloves, you only have 2 options to choose from, which are going to be additional defense and defense percent, as well as attack and also attack percent. So it doesn't really matter which ones you go for that. But then finally, the boots, you have 3 choices, which are going to be HP percent, defense penetration, and also critical hit damage, with all 3 of those choices being very, very good for Emma, as she does benefit from all 3 of those stats very, very nicely. So it's up to you which one you want to go for, but overall probably critical hit damage is going to be your best option. And then for the accessory main stats, the necklace, you'll want to go for HP percent or additional HP. Again, it doesn't really matter which one you go for because both will be very good. The bracelet, of course, is going to be fire damage percent, as Emma Laurent is a fire attribute character. And then the ring, again, just like the necklace, will be additional HP or HP percent. And then finally, the earrings will always give you additional mana points, which then leaves all of her best substats. And overall, of course, your HP and also HP percent substats are going to be your most important ones, as well as also getting critical hit rate and also defense penetration, as defense penetration is something that is used quite a lot in the mono fire team, which will then also leave all of these other substats to be very good ones you could go for, which then will bring me on to all of Emma Laurent's best cores. And for the mind piece, you'll want to go for the Nameless Demon's Deception. This will allow you to increase the critical hit damage of your basic skills by 12% for 8 seconds after you use your ultimate. And then for the body piece, the Ancient Wraith's Right Hand as well as also the Nameless Demon's Horn are both really good options, so it doesn't really matter which one you want to go for, as both will work completely fine. And the same will also apply to the Spirit piece. Again, the Ancient Wraith's Mana Power as well as also the Nameless Demon's Magisphere will also both be very good options. So once again, it doesn't really matter which ones you use, but overall for all of these pieces, for the substats that you are going to want, pretty much all of the substats that you're going to use for your artifacts will also be very good for your cores as well. Emma Laurent's best in slot weapon is going to be Night Thoughts, which is going to be her exclusive weapon, and this will increase the damage dealt to targets affected by the break effects by 4 all the way up to 12%, depending on how many advancements you do have. But then also when heat absorption is activated, the user's damage dealt will increase by 1.5%, which can stack up to 4 times or 15 times if you do have the weapon at max advancements. But then of course the durable Shark Water Gun can be a really good free to play option due to it increasing your QTE and also your basic skill damage. So moving on to Emma Laurent's skill level priority, and overall in my opinion her most valuable skill in her kit is going to be Burn Up. And this is because Burn Up is going to be her main source of AoE damage, which is something that she is really, really good at, and especially because as well it's on an 8-second cooldown with medium break damage and can also deal 10% more damage when attacking an enemy who has the burn effect on them. The same will also apply to her core attack, which is Flare Strike, and this is also really, really good as it's pretty much instantly activated when you use her first skill Burn Up, which is overall going to make this a very, very useful skill in her kit. Flame Cleave is also up next, and this is also a very important part of her kit, as it is the skill that does allow her to apply the heat emission buff to her entire team, but it is also very good at dealing a lot of break damage due to it having heavy break damage, so increasing the damage of it as well is going to be really, really good. Just like Burn Up as well, it can increase its own damage by 10% when attacking a burnt enemy, which will leave Burning Pride and her basic attack Sword of Revenge as the last 2 things you'll want to level up. But starting off with her ultimate, which can be very, very spammable, as basically whenever you have heat absorption, the skill damage of it will decrease by 30% 33.33%, which might sound bad at first, but what you then get in return is the ability to reduce not only your power gauge consumption, but also the cooldown time of your ultimate by 50%, which is going to be really, really valuable. But if you then do actually have heat emission active, then you can then also increase the skills damage by 77.77%. And then of course her basic attacks are really good because it deals weak break damage, so it's going to be a very important part of her kit and dealing lots of break damage. Which will then bring me on to all of Emma's best advancements, and overall the only ones you really need to care about are going to be her A1 and also her A2, and this is because her A1 will allow her to increase her break damage of burn up by 77.77%, which once again will give this skill a ton of value. But then her A2 is also going to be really good, as you can increase your break effect again by 10% and also increase the damage that you deal to targets affected by the break effect by another 20%, which will give her more damage again. Which will then of course finally leave us with all of Emma Laurent's best teams and also her best synergies as well. And overall, some of the best characters that work really well with Emma Laurent are going to be characters like Gina and also Yu Soo-hyun. And starting off with Gina, her main sort of function within your team is going to be able to increase your attack and also fire damage for your whole entire team, as well as also provide healing and power gauge charging. But then when it comes to Yu Soo-hyun, she does quite a lot of things as well, as she can apply her spotlight buff, which will increase her defense penetration, as well as her magic firearm buff, which will give her a good amount of extra damage, but most importantly her magic reaction debuff, which will increase the fire damage taken by enemies by 1%, which will stack up 20 times, which will allow her core attack perfect shot, as well as her second basic skill kill shot to deal a ton of damage. But then of course you could use Choi as well, who also does excel in the mono fire team, due to his ability to increase his own attack stat and also defense penetration through his ultimate hunter buff, and also reset both of his basic skill cooldowns through using his ultimate as well. But then when it comes to actually structuring your team and the order of rotations, you'll want it to look something like this, where you have your DPS in the first slot, with Emma in the second, and then your support in the third. And the reason you want to do this is so that you can instantly use your Emma Laurent's QTE skill, which is Flame Judgment. And this is because this is the most accessible way for her to easily burn an enemy, as you can deal weak break damage and then also inflict burn on your enemy targets, which means once you have brought her in, you can obviously burn the enemy, but then it also means that your basic skills like burn up, as well as also flame cleave, can instantly benefit from the 10% damage increase that they can get whenever you do attack a burnt enemy. But then of course for your best shadows overall, something like Big Rock or Blades are going to be your two best authority leaders, with Big Rock being my preferred choice, as Big Rock can increase your entire team's basic skill damage by up to 11%. But then of course Blades is going to be really good because of the fact that he can increase your whole team's attack by up to, I believe, 6%, which will then leave you with Serbi as your second best option, simply because of the combustion debuff that Serbi does apply, increasing the amount of damage that enemies will take and also applying another DOT to them. Which then means for your third and final slot, you could go for Iron due to his ability to decrease your enemy's defense, but if you are going to run Choi as your main DPS, then literally either Igris or Tusk are probably going to be your two best options, as Tusk can buff all of your shadows damage, and also Igris himself can just do a ton of damage in general for a shadow. So there you have it, that is a complete updated build guide to Emma Laurent, and overall she's changed quite a lot. But most importantly, if you did enjoy this video, then don't forget to like and subscribe and click the link down below to support me as a creator, and of course I will see you all in the next video. Peace!